It was deep, deep dark, such as only goblins that have taken to living in the heart of mountains can see through.
Goblin-town in the book is sort of a dark, horrible place with a very fat king sitting on a stone. And that's really all about all that Tolkien tells us.
I mean, they're in the mountains. What does Goblin-town look like? How do they build it? Is it a stone city? And we didn't really want to do a stone city.
It's coming up with something that feels fresh and new, that we haven't seen before too, which is a bit tricky.
You know, you got the sense that Peter wanted something unique, and Alan and John were doing lots of sketches for it.
It's like cracking the code of what it is that makes it cool to look at. This is interesting, isn't it?
With Peter, there'll be certain drawings that really work for him, and there was one drawing of mine in particular which showed this chasm just full of very temporary structures, all kind of balanced precariously along the side of this canyon of rotted rock.
It was this idea that you just kind of came into Goblin-town and you saw these goblins sort of all around you in this kind of almost shanty town built into the sides of the cavern.
These goblins have colonized a little bit like lice in the seams of clothing.
Their purpose in life, what these goblins do, is they scavenge and they take prisoners. They're sort of the highwaymen of Middle-earth in a way.
So we came up with the idea that everything in there is scavenged from the outside world, that they go on raiding parties at night and they steal bits of architecture, they steal stuff that's lying around farmhouses, they probably kill the farmers and they bring the stuff back.
This is evil. This is what comes into your house at night when, when you don't want it to, and this is where all of it goes.
And Peter had the idea that they would use this stuff, but they would use it in the wrong way. They wouldn't really quite understand the purpose. So you might get to a piece of a cart that was built into a walkway.
And the wheels of the cart to roll a rope around so they could haul something up.
They were kind of imitating what they thought should be the good life.
So we're now starting to see other structures on the other side. There's not really many bridges joining them. They're kind of like more buildings over there. Maybe we could just open it up slightly here.
We start constructing this world piece by piece. Then it gets closer and closer to the time when we have to shoot something on set. And the question becomes, okay, right, what do the actors have to work with? How much of this can and should we build physically?
Now there's 7 background pieces. Often we built pretty articulate models, which then Peter could look at and say, well, I won't be needing that bird, but I will need something over here, so he could get his head around how his action was going to work inside that set. All of this is a movable feet, so we can go through it and back through it and around and swoop this bit over here and put that bit there as a bridge. And they eventually get up onto this platform, which breaks.
So how does it break?
Well, basically the top pieces lift off. This is one that drops down so they can slide down.
Yeah.
We had to recreate all of these set pieces that looked randomly strapped together on stilts and poles.
Have you got it? Yeah, I got him. He's out of the way. I got him. He died.
It's fine. We've made a lot of generic pieces, walkways, rock faces, that are all interchangeable. So our little night fairies can come in and shift the whole set round, bring in a rock wall, another walkway around a corner, and we keep changing this thing around night by night.
And the shooting crew would turn up the next day and have a completely different set to work with.
I'm sitting here on part of the Goblin set. This is a Goblin's cave, and it is an incredible set. It was almost like a medieval vision of hell. Everything was misshapen and grotesque and felt dangerous.
It was, of course, constructed of rubbish. Terrible skeletons. It's a forensic paradise.
Slime.
No one should leave home without at least 5 skulls.
Yep.
There's a lot of gore, and Peter likes that stuff. He loves layers of dressing that tells a story.
Do you have nightmares?
I do have nightmares, and then I come to work and I dress them into the set.
And introducing all the dressings, you definitely throw your mind into the way goblins might think.
I'd have to describe the goblin aesthetic as being
drunken madmen, really. You know, make it as rough and mental with as few skills as you could and still make the thing work. I kind of exemplified that with the Goblin King's throne, which was a bed, essentially, that had broken in half.
Yeah. This big old ornate gilt double bed.
You're right, oh, I see. Right,
into
that's right, yeah, that's fantastic.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
We thought that might have belonged to some prince that was being transported in some kind of marriage train or something. We were able to kind of decorate the bed with gold leaf and these little kind of rococo cupids. It would play to his kind of air of sophistication. He thought of himself as being something of a connoisseur.
I tell you what would be really funny. They'd have a hole in the bottom in a large pot underneath, which your imagination can only go to what's in the pot. So there's your throne, and your toilet is just full below.
You can see him occasionally straining.
Yeah. That's right. Yep.
Somewhere in Pete's mind, he's decided that the goblin sits on this huge commode with this big pile of dump underneath it.
I never thought I'd be seeing this aspect of Kiwi life.
Barry Humphries sitting on a throne, underneath was a pile of shit, you know, whoa.
This is a family film, but the Goblin King is, amongst other things, grossly incontinent. So from time to time, a beautifully crafted urn beneath the throne receives a compliment of matter.
Who would be so bold as to come armed into my kingdom?
The sets, a lot of them are very, very large, but that said, we need to make everything obviously a lot bigger. So when we film on these sets, we always have lots of artwork from John and Alan to have a good idea of what might be back there.
They're not only designing what was filmed, but they're also designing what is built in the digital world. After we stopped filming, we actually hired Alan and John into Weta to really help lay out and design each sequence as we go.
The point of that was finishing off the job that we had started, essentially.
A concept artist's work is never done. It's as if you can keep conceptualizing as long as there's still a shot that has an empty spot.
So Alan and John were able to give us sketches on top of the plates of what the environment would look like. Is there a shanty town over here? Is there a drop over there? You never think about how important something as simple as rocks are, but they're actually important for defining the environment.
A lot of the rocks in Goblin-town are actually based on photographs taken on the beach out in front of Peter's place.
The reference I was going to show you for rocks was actually...
Yeah, give me a look at whatever you've got.
Nice.
Directly in front of your house. Right, yeah. Well, that's why I've seen it.
Yeah.
It is a bit like this, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was basically, to a degree, the same rock that we used in Mordor for Lord of the Rings. Somehow it felt perfectly natural to have this corrupted rock full of holes, almost as though it was being eaten away by the corrosive nature even of the goblins themselves.
It's finding stuff that looks aggressive and creepy and violent, and I think this area is great.
Our modeling team was able to recreate this look.
So what we have to do is we have to make a real digital environment that represents John and Alan's artwork as much as possible, and the easiest way to do that is to look at the real thing.
Rather than completely create a Goblin-town set that works from A to B to C to D, you've got to, treat it like a whole lot of different sets and have the ability to change and blow out wide when you need to and close in. So we sort of create what we call like a Lego set of components, like bits of wall and lots of little gantries and ladders, and then you sort of build them to what you need the shot to be.
Haven't abandoned sketchbooks entirely. So this is where the dwarves will come rushing up here onto this structure, which they cut loose, and it swings across this chasm, so the goblins are stuck on the other side. They actually swing across and back and then across again.
We kind of mapped out the path of which the dwarves would travel. One thing that Peter asked for is that he wanted it to feel like you're traveling through and seeing these different places.
It was all backwards engineered from the throne. We knew they had to get onto a bridge at some point and fall down a cliffside and end up at the bottom of a ravine. And then backwards engineer everything between those 2 points into this huge universe.
I think Goblin-town is perhaps the most collaborative of the environments that we did. There's bits of everybody.
And we ended up with one big digital world. You can essentially fly a camera all the way through Goblin-town, which allowed Peter to go in and put a camera anywhere he wanted and see the world.
That allows me to be a little bit more adventurous and have a bit more fun as the filmmaker. And if the animation is done well and the lighting and compositing is done well, it just opens up so many possibilities. It was an absolute joy to come back to Middle-earth again. It was almost like you're turning the page of the history book, going to a new chapter and going back in that world, but seeing new things, places you haven't been to before.
Middle-earth is so diverse and there's so many different environments. You may be creating something beautiful one moment, something dangerous the next. It's just a lot of complexity.
We had all these wonderful, wonderful people making things, and they all gave it 100% in time and energy and creativity to bring Tolkien's vision to the screen.
The way these sets are constructed, it's quite amazing. I mean, you are, with the suspension of a few things, you're kind of really there.
I'd run out of superlatives to describe the places we get to work in, you know, and just how people have managed to build them.
It was an amazing effort by so many people, and to see the success of such a final product is really overwhelming.
This is my dream job. Who else gets to really conceive wonderful things and have them created by some of the world's best makers, and then be able to present it in a place like this film to the rest of the world.
Hi to the fans.
Bye. 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 Bye.